Thank you, Otis, for a $5 super chat. What would be the absolute best frequencies for RC and video if we had a choice, and why? Otis, for video takes up a lot of bandwidth. Analog video takes up, I think it's about 26 megahertz of bandwidth. DJI takes up between 20 and 40 megahertz, depending on if you're doing 25 megabit per second or 50 megabit per second. So let's say that the amount of bandwidth that a single channel of video needs is approximately 25 to 40 megahertz. Well, if you're looking at the 2.4 gigahertz frequency band, there's only like 83 megahertz available. So you can see that that doesn't give a lot of room to get a lot of pilots in the air. If you only need to have one pilot in the air at a time, you know, like 1.3 gigahertz can get it done. But if you need multiple pilots in the air, 5.8 gigahertz is actually really, really good. Because 5.8 gigahertz has something like, I think it's over 300 megahertz. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's over 300 megahertz of bandwidth, which means you can get lots of pilots in the air. Even with 50 megabit per second, you can get 3 in the air. And when you go to higher frequencies than 5.8 gigahertz, like there's a 6 gigahertz, there's a 60 gigahertz would be sort of another place you could stop. You get a 60 gigahertz coincides with an oxygen absorption peak. The oxygen in the atmosphere has an absorption peak around 60 gigahertz. So it turns out that 60 gigahertz actually doesn't propagate very far in the atmosphere. And higher frequencies have other problems. So 5.8 gigahertz is really the best place for us to be. Now, if you were to remove all regulatory requirements and say, I can just transmit on any frequency that I want with as much bandwidth as I want, then moving to lower frequencies would make more sense. But, you know, you can't do that because we live in the world and you can't just use whatever frequencies we want.